On today's episode of Mental Illness Disguised as a Gaming Challenge, we'll be attempting to get the S+ rank in Resident Evil 2 Remake without running. We are going to be playing on the game's hardest difficulty, Hardcore, leaving us with only 2 hours and 30 minutes to walk out of Raccoon City alive. Which, let me tell you, is not a lot of time when you move as fast as my grandmother. The rules are simple. As per usual, bonus weapons and items are banned. We will be restricting the knife's usage to be strictly defensive only for obvious reasons. And most important of all, under no circumstances are we allowed to run. With our rule set, we already had the perfect recipe for our next mental breakdown on hand. But I wouldn't be making these videos if I was of sound mind. Which is why I decided that instead of the usual 3 allotted saves we would have available on a Hardcore S+ run, we will get 0. And with Hardcore disabling the autosave feature, that meant we would have to once again face the perilous journey of a permadeath run, one step at a time. We join future Hunchback of Notre Dame, Leon Kennedy, as he arrives at the gas station on his way to start his first day as a police officer. Just now realizing that we were 1 week late, we decided to pop into the shop to buy the police chief a little present to apologize. Unfortunately though, the children were out of stock, so we headed into the back to complain to the manager. And by complain, I meant kneecap. Having unknowingly stumbled into a zombie epidemic, tensions were high, which is why we almost shot a woman named Claire on our way out. But despite the awkward start to our relationship, we decided to team up and figure out a game plan. Head to the RPD, grab her brother Chris, head to the Winchester, have a cold pint, and wait for all of this to blow over. That was at least until some dickhead rear-ended us. I'm sure she's fine. Oh Jesus Christ. While this looks scary and potentially run-ending, in actuality we had nothing to worry about. We can just take the scenic route at a relaxed walking pace, past all the homeless people, letting us reach the RPD without a scratch, to officially signal the start of our challenge. Wow, the RPD was so beautiful before receiving the Hiroshima treatment. Accessing the security cameras, we spotted a fellow officer in the East Wing, claiming he found a way out of the station. So we decided to head there first. We grabbed the first aid spray in the main hall and crawled under the shutters. Exploring the East Wing, we got to partake in one of my favorite pastimes, sniffing around in the woman's restroom, for which, unlike the usual, we didn't get banned from our local McDonald's, but got rewarded with an additional first aid spray. And considering our non-existent movement speed, hoarding healing items would be absolutely essential to deal with the more challenging fights we were going to have to go up against later on. We found Officer Elliot, but unfortunately back in 1998, wheelchair accessibility was severely lacking.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
So we had to leave what was left of him behind. His proposed escape plan revealed that not only was he lacking in the walking department, but also that he'd gone insane. 3 medallions to open a secret passage. Yeah right, and next you'll tell me an officer will burst through the door to assault me against my will. Thanks to the magic power of the first aid spray, we managed to escape. But to make things worse, the janitors broke out of lockup to claim their unpaid wages. However, if we just dip into the press room, we can grab some handgun ammo and wait for these troglodytes to come closer, letting us pass through, which 50% of the time works every time. Back in the main hall, we met up with Marvin, who was looking very healthy. His patriotism was truly awe-inspiring.
We can get you to hospital.
No.
Okay, I get it. Fine. Just like Marvin loves the US, I will love you forever if you hit that like and subscribe button, hype and all that other shit to make the algorithm happy. Thank you. Marvin revealed that Officer Elliot wasn't actually insane and that the not-so-secret passage over here would open up if we inserted the 3 medallions that were hidden somewhere inside the RPD. So if we wanted to make it to the Winchester sometime this century, we had to get going. With our newly acquired knife, we unlocked access to the West Wing, where we started hoovering up all the resources we could find, as well as ensuring that the vending machines stayed unmolested. As we continued on towards the staircase, to block out additional unwanted crack addicts from entering the station, you might be wondering why we're not grabbing the item pouch from the West office. I know RE2 about as well as Clitoris? I don't know what that is. Must be one of the new Pokemon. But what I meant to say was I didn't know the code to the safe. So I thought it would be fun if we had to find the corresponding code first before we would be allowed to crack open a lock, making our journey through the RPD even more tense. A decision I for sure won't regret in the future. We headed up to the 3rd floor where we found the spade key and entered the library to collect the unicorn medallion. Dealing with the library staff in exchange for most of our ammo reserves let us push the bookshelves to avoid certain unwanted consequences later down the road. With the most worthless shit added to our inventory, we returned back to Marvin, who was using the security cameras to creep on unsuspecting women. To our surprise though, it turned out it was Claire, who somehow survived the explosion and was now waiting to be let in during a zombie outbreak. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best strategy. So while Marvin's still refusing to receive medical help, bleeds out on the sofa, we would head over to the East Wing to let Claire in. But first we dropped off the unicorn medallion and unlocked the door to the West office with the spade key. An important mechanic in RE2 Remake is the ability to discard key items. However, this is only possible after using the item in every usable location. And with our inventory space being tighter than your mum's shit pipe, planning our route for maximum inventory efficiency was crucial to avoid any backtracking, as we simply didn't have the time for it. Which is why we unlocked the West office on the way here, so we could discard the key as soon as we made it to the East Wing's 2nd floor. We reunited the book with the statue to give us access to the red gem, but we didn't pick it up just yet. We'll be back for it later. So after grabbing the weapons locker keycard, we made our way outside, where we witnessed what happens when you outsource terrorism to ChatGPT. Leon's chronic lack of riz caused the pilot to blow himself up for a 2nd time, sending Claire running back into the darkness to avoid the approaching army of crack addicts. With the bolt cutters recovered, we made our way into the East office, providing our remaining work colleagues with traumatic head injuries. This lets us pick up the fuse, and another unwanted surprise later, we opened up the shutters and circled back to pick up the handle as well as some high-grade gunpowder to craft our first set of shotgun shells. We conducted some much-needed inventory management back in the main hall and returned back to the West Wing corridor. Now teeming with the local homeless population, just walking through here was not an option. But if my latest challenge run has taught me anything, it's that nothing works better than kneecapping zombies. Jesus. What are your legs made out of? Jesus Christ. That was way too close. With my heart rate slowly stabilizing, we entered the supply room, where we picked up the detonator, our first flash grenade, which will come in very handy later on, and found the code to the locker inside the shower room. Next up, we stopped by the armory to free the shotgun, thanks to the keycard we picked up earlier, and made our way upstairs to fix the shower some asshole decided to blow up. With an insane stock of shotgun shells added to our inventory, we got introduced to my least favorite version of a bidet. But thanks to our walking only rule, it didn't pose much of a threat to us, letting us arrive inside the STARS office in one piece. We stocked up on some more very welcome additions to our ammo and healing supplies and collected the 2nd part of the detonator, as well as the code to the safe in the West office. By ignoring the liquor like I ignore my problems, we returned to the library, where we relieved the remaining staff from duty before making our way up to the attic to engage in another one of my favorite pastimes, bombing my local police station. However, if we wanted to make it out of here in any way besides a body bag, we had to fix up the closet and deal with this guy here. Because as soon as we retrieve the medallion, a licker drops out of the ceiling to put his tongue in our special place. But as long as we made sure the path out was clear, we could just walk out of here, adding another horror story for our next therapy session. Back in the main hall, we grabbed the lion medallion and headed downstairs to the west office. What's going on? We are actually doing pretty well. Oh my god. I'm so dog shit. There it is. With balance to the universe restored, we got our first inventory pouch and unlocked Leon's desk, where we found the Matilda's extended magazine. After unlocking the secret passage, we asked Marvin that since he wasn't going to the hospital, if he wouldn't at least want to grab a drink with us at the Winchester. But our inability to read social cues, or just looking at his 20 years sobriety chip, prompted a very American response.
Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
I guess we'll continue our search on our own. As we were approaching our first boss fight, we made sure to retrieve as many healing and defensive items from the item box as we could. Making a small detour before proceeding towards G1's arena also let us pick up a grenade. William Birkin, Father of the Year and creator of the most obvious weak points imaginable, was enraged we rearranged his furniture. So he challenged us to a duel to the death. Unfortunately, due to our rules banning us from turning G1 into salami, we had to fight him the old-fashioned way. This is where hoarding our healing items came in clutch, because there was one very big issue. Our geriatric movement speed made it basically impossible to avoid his attacks. While countering his grab attacks was no issue thanks to the plethora of defensive items we had on us, his overhead slam put us on life support in just a single hit, which was not good. Occasionally G1 will throw a fit, swinging wildly around him, which as long as we managed to clear the danger zone, provided us with the perfect opportunity to dish out massive damage. So our strategy was quite simple. Unload onto him as long as possible, tank a hit, heal, and put as much distance between us and him as we could, and pray that he dies before we run out of healing supplies. Okay, this is fucking horrible. That was way too close. Despite collecting the remaining resources around the arena, this fight did a number on our healing items, which didn't bode well for us, considering the not so distant arrival of the bald fisting machine. But we'll worry about that when we get there. For now, we made our way into the parking garage to find yet another reason as to why it should be required to have a license to own dogs. Fortunately, FBI agent Ada Wong showed up just in time to save us. Considering we were getting no closer to our target destination, we decided to follow Ada, so we could at least squeeze out a promotion out of this shit show. This led us to Ben, former pedophile and suspected clone of Mark Zuckerberg.
Hello, human.
Turned whistleblower, who got locked up by alleged child trafficker and police chief Irons. He offered us a way out of here, if we freed him. Well, he never specified that we have to get him out alive, so deal's on. To get into Ben's cell, we had to find 2 electrical components to fix the door. Jesus Christ, this place is a shithole. So with the crank retrieved, we headed for the generator room, picking up all the resources we could find along the way. Once inside the generator room, we found the first electrical part and restored power, which caused the not so good boys to come out to bite our cock off. Even though I love dogs, these bastards can go straight to hell, which is exactly where we sent them. With us now being the #1 target on Peter's hit list, we returned back upstairs, handed out irrecoverable brain damage to the electricians, and opened the shutters to the east wing. Thanks to the crank, we unlocked access to the 3rd floor, where we received a painful reminder that we failed to pass the health and fitness exam. Hopefully no one saw that.
Are you fucking kidding me?
We handed out some additional lobotomies before fixing up the water supply and retrieving the club key from the janitor's closet. However, putting out the fire brought with it consequences that we wouldn't be able to recover from. Voldemort finally got his nose job and traded magic for the neckbeard fedora.
M'lady.
With only one mission. Shove his fist up so far up our ass, we become his hand puppet. Our lack of firepower was really showing as we were put on life support, not just once, but twice. But miraculously, we survived. How? I have no idea, but we take those. Mr. X being able to show up at any time to terrorize us was going to be a huge problem. And since we simply cannot outwalk him, we'd have to be ready to boogie at all times. Which meant managing our already constipated inventory became more important than ever. Limping away after our first near-death experience, we stopped by the art room to finally retrieve the red jewel from the statue. This let us pick up the stars badge from the interrogation room downstairs, as well as some much needed ammo and the code for the save in the waiting room, containing the muzzle brake for the Matilda, which I'm still convinced is worthless. To progress, we had to make it to the records room on the first floor's west wing to get our hands on the jack handle so we could finish constructing the passage to the clock tower. But getting there was not exactly smooth sailing. Oh my god. Oh Jesus Christ, what the fuck is happening? How am I alive? Come on, move. Maybe we can still make it. Uh-oh. Oh, this is so bullshit. Fuck! While this probably was the absolute worst case scenario, it illustrates perfectly why we had to be prepared to handle that bald hemorrhoid at any time, which is exactly what we did on our next attempt. Oh, not again! Are we dead? Are we dead? Yeah, well, I'll just go fuck myself then. Despite my mental well-being taking a nosedive, we at least found a strategy to better deal with G1. Opening fire on him as soon as the fight starts gives us a huge window to dish out damage before he even has the chance to hit us, making the fight much faster and way more consistent. Most of the time at least. I can't move. Oh, this is just great. When we finally made it back to the records room, we brought our flash grenades to provide Mr. X with permanent retina damage, buying us enough time to incapacitate him, letting us flee to the library to jack off the bookshelf in peace, and make our way to the STARS office to gain access to the lightning hole, thanks to the STARS badge we picked up earlier. Back in the library, we finished up bridge construction just to almost die from a heart attack while we were climbing up the ladder. Please, just leave me alone, you bald asshole. Barely making it to safety inside the clock tower. We waited out Mr. X before making the journey across to the east storage room to collect the large cog. However, possessing a large cog wasn't the life-changing experience I was hoping for. Oh, please, don't see me. Don't see me. Oh, Jesus, that was so close. With another ball-crushing experience avoided, we fixed up the clock tower, letting us grab the second electrical unit, as well as a large gunpowder in the back. Butthole puckered, we headed back down to the parking garage, praying we won't run into Mr. X again, which, thankfully, we didn't. We put down some more rabid dogs and unlocked access to Ben's cell to take his garage pass. But we also found a very suspicious recording.
I'm lost in a spooky castle. I sure hope no 9'6" tall vampire lady comes and pegs me.
I think I've heard enough. Unfortunately, fixing the power had the additional side effect of releasing all the sex offenders locked up down here. Seriously, who designed this place? We tried to escape via the conveniently placed side door when suddenly we heard oddly familiar footsteps.
Break.
Oh no, this is not good. I think we might be cooked. Never mind, we're good. We're good. We're not good. No! While my F-tier gameplay never fails at reducing my life expectancy, we surprisingly made it back on our very next attempt. This time providing that bold psychopath with the right amount of lead poisoning. And burning out the remaining sex offenders' retinas, let us walk out of here in one piece. Just for Mr. X to Kool-Aid Man through the wall, to choke us in the non-enjoyable way. Fortunately, however, Ada saved us by perpetrating the stereotype that women can't drive. Despite that drink at the Winchester becoming more alluring by the second, we pulled ourselves together and kept following Ada in hopes of getting a piece of that. I meant a piece of that promotion, of course. We made it to Kendo's, where we provided critical first aid by informing this worried father that the most cost-effective way to treat his daughter's ailments in America would be to just shoot her. With another job well done, we descended into the sewers, telling Ada about our 3 biggest fears, with alligators taking the #1 spot, followed by crocodiles.
Wow, not sure I even want to know what your third biggest...
Brain aneurysm.
What?
Unfortunately, not only do we have to deal with our biggest fear, but even worse, with an obstacle that would prove impossible to overcome. Let's get this straight out of the way. You cannot outwalk the alligator section. It's not possible. Even if you don't press the sprint button, the game forces you into running, no matter what you do. So no, you can't beat RE2 Remake without running. As Leon. With our dream of getting sexually assaulted by our hot co-worker put on ice, we started our next attempt as Claire, where instead of rejecting possibly wanted sexual advances, we got to protect a small child from Dr. Witnesser. However, even though we managed to get our hands on Iron's Garage Pass collection on our first attempt,
That was a lie.
we ran into another roadblock. See, the game forces you to play as Sherry for a short segment. And while everything seemed fine at the start, as soon as we grabbed the key, we had to escape our pedophile captor. And that is just straight up not happening without running. Trust me, I tried. An entire day wasted and we were right back where we started. I was trying to convince myself that at least in Leon's section, we were not actually running. It's the game forcing its bullshit rules on us. But that didn't sit right with me. So I guess we failed. The challenge is officially over. To beat this, we needed Jesus Christ himself to descend from the heavens to bless us. And he did. By adopting the American mindset, we would avoid walking at any cost. Just like Jesus Christ walked on water, we would walk through the air. Introducing the air walk, which lets us walk all the way to the orphanage, completely skipping Sherry's section. However, getting this to work was not exactly consistent. And even if we managed to get it, we still had to maneuver through the out of bounds area very carefully to avoid getting soft locked. Ah, shit. Well, I guess that's a reset. But first, how exactly does this work? By downpatching our game to version 1.0, we can lure Grandma in the library over to the stairs, kneecap her and bait out her lunge attack. If done correctly, she'll bite us in the ass on the stairs. This triggers the game to have a full-blown aneurysm, trying to calculate our Z position, sending us into the air, letting us walk wherever we please. By triggering the collapsing passage, we descend down, and if we use the RPD terrain from out of bounds, we get exactly where we need to be. We were so back. But there was one more problem we had to deal with. Theoretically, we could perform this glitch as soon as we reached the library for the first time, basically skipping half of the game. And that would honestly ruin the entire point of this challenge. So to keep things fair and actually challenging, I decided that we would have to complete everything up to Sherry's segment before performing this trick, which also meant we would have to get this while Mr. X was hunting us down. I assume you can imagine how well that went. But first things first. Fortunately, Claire's early game plays out mostly the same as Leon's. And by abandoning that copy of Mein Kampf in the library, we managed to free up some additional inventory space to accommodate the grenade launcher's acid rounds. We also picked up the portable safe in the shower room, which definitely didn't cause me to question my intelligence. Our path really only starts to divulge once we've dropped off Sherry at daycare. Instead of heading back up to the East Wing, we had to reach Chief Irons' office, for which we needed the diamond key, located inside the morgue. The good thing was the rabid dog population had rapidly been consumed, before the South Korean government managed to pass its new law, taking their place an army of lickers. However, seeing as they are unable to see, we could just walk past them without any issues to grab the diamond key. On our way back out, we stopped by the firing range, collected the car key, which let us grab the JMB HP3 from the police car's trunk. We restored access to Irons' office, found a very much welcomed upgrade for a grenade launcher, and made our way back inside the RPD. Arriving upstairs, we were confused. I thought this was the police chief's office, not the man cave of a third world country dictator. But we had bigger worries than Iron's creepy obsession with taxidermy. The looming threat of the arrival of our bald hemorrhoid with anger issues meant our decision making in the next couple of minutes would be crucial. So after collecting the hard key, we first headed downstairs, triggering the licker to break through the glass in the interrogation room, letting us grab the note with the code for the safe on the second floor's east wing. Next up, we headed to the attic to collect a large cog and dealt with the crack addicts hiding away up here, to guarantee safe passage when we come through here again. We unlocked the hard door so we could discard the key later, but left the electrical component for now. With all resources in the area collected, we made a short detour to the item box to organize our inventory and then triggered our first encounter with Mr. X. By dropping him a present in the form of a flash grenade, we managed to walk past him, insulting his whale of a mother while doing so. This bought us enough time to stop by the safe to pick up the extended mag for the JMB before returning to the main hall. A quick pit stop at the item box later, we headed up to the second floor to grab the second spare part from the linen room and made our journey towards the armory. Despite almost getting mauled by a licker, we made it inside, getting our hands on our second item pouch. Squeezing past the licker as quietly as possible, we headed for the records room to get the jack handle, which for some reason didn't cause Mr. X to come for us. Wait, where is he? I can hear him, but he's not coming. Unfortunately, this had the consequence of running into him back in the main hall. Another flash grenade burned and Marvin's peaceful sleep disrupted. We retrieved the large cork from the item box, fixed up the bookshelves in the library, finally arriving at the clock tower. With the first electrical component in our possession, we cleared out all the enemies up here and headed back to Iron's office via the attic, grabbing the second electrical component on the way there. Access to the garage pass was unlocked. But now we had to face the real challenge. To perform our little trick, we had to make it all the way back to the library, lure Grandma up the stairs and get the correct lineup, while at the same time making sure we don't get turbo-fisted by Mr. X. This is going to be fun. Our journey back to the library went smooth, but from there on out, it started to go downhill very quickly. Oh, come on, please, just leave me alone. With Mr. X disappearing into the East Wing, we were good to go. So we started luring Grandma over to the stairs, which unfortunately came with its own set of problems. What are you doing? God, I fucking hate you so much. Oh no, he's coming. Oh, this is really bad. This is really bad. Can I move, please? Wait. I think we can make this. Let's go! We did it, yes! I don't know how we lived through that. But my guardian angel was doing overtime that night. We expertly navigated our way through the void, safely arriving at the orphanage just a few minutes later. Chief sex offender couldn't decide which franchise he wanted to star in, so he ended up in neither. After climbing down through the hatch inside the torture chamber, our hard work paid off. Sherry managed to escape irons without our assistance. And with Chris having decided to go on vacation without telling us, we had only one thing on our mind: that drink at the Winchester. Getting in there with a minor accompanying us might be a bit difficult, but we'll just tell them we're European, then it should be fine.
What's going on with you? What are you talking about? You sound insane.
However, Mr. X, seemingly upset we just ghosted him inside the library, was having none of that. But with the help of our grenade launcher, we managed to stun him long enough to reach the elevator. William Birkin, turning Mr. X's internal organs external, finally freed us from our stalker. But in turn, we would now end up with a serious concussion, as he sent us plummeting to the depths below. Awakening to a woman fondling us would usually be a pleasant experience, but in Raccoon City the likelihood you end up injected with Ebola far exceeds that of receiving a kiss on the cheek. Fortunately, the woman was just a scientist, trying to figure out what happened here, by pretending we don't exist. With Sherry nowhere to be found, we went looking, getting a nice whiff of the excrements of the entire population of RC. And not long after, we found her, locked in the garbage disposal area by her mother, the scientist we just met, Annette. Well, I know who's going to win the Mother of the Year award. To rescue Sherry, we had to restore power back to the door. However, in a surprise to no one, the decision makers in Raccoon City exclusively smoke crack all day, resulting in this abomination of a security console. We had to find 3 additional chest plugs to get it working, and they were scattered around somewhere down here. So while Sherry slowly contracts every disease known to man, we picked up the creatively named tool. I don't think that's how you're supposed to use a save. Sending these service workers down here into early retirement let us access the hive from aliens. While this area was teeming with more disgusting enemies with the potential to ruin our run, there was a fairly safe way past them. Shooting the G-adult from the right distance will make him pop up without stunning us, letting us squeeze past. Receiving diarrhea straight to the mouth was never a good time, but to make things worse, it also came with the side effect of giving Claire COVID, causing a coughing fit every 2 seconds, leaving us open to further molestation. This required us to burn through our precious purple herbs, which I was trying to save for our upcoming boss fights. With our herbal refreshments consumed, we kept walking past the Jabba the Hutts, safely arriving at the supply storage room. Here we managed to find the Queen and King plug, as well as a spark shot, giving us a nice boost to our firepower. To guarantee our safe return to the main area, we introduced our friend here to our grenade launcher. And another serving of diarrhea later, we made it back, grabbing the Suez key on the way out. To get to the Rook plug, we headed through the lower waterway. And a tense encounter at the overpass later... Oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? We made a small detour back up to the RPD for some additional resources and snagged the final plug on the way back. Our return trip to Sherry was enhanced by a very unwelcome serving of bullshit. Oh, come on. But that's nothing a few million volts can't deal with. We picked up the reinforced frame for our revolver from the safe and finally restored power to the door. However, those evil residents were not done messing with us just yet, as the garbage disposal area was still locked off, costing us more precious time to get the power back up and running. That should do it. Oh, fuck. Getting touched inappropriately through the ceiling by a murderous psychopath while slowly dying due to carbon monoxide poisoning was not exactly ideal, made even worse by my F-tier performance trying to avoid G2's attempts to caress our hair. However, there's a little trick to make this fight a lot more manageable. Eventually, G2 will get bored of destroying the roof and move on to the shutters. If we then move as close to the exit as possible, we can just walk past him, reaching the crane area immediately. As soon as we entered the arena, we made a walk for the crane controls, opening up additional space for us to move around. Unfortunately, avoiding G2's attacks was just straight up not happening. But I did find something after getting stunlock comboed to death, maybe once, or twice, or a couple of times. Shooting him with the grenade launcher or tossing a grenade as he's winding up his attacks provides us with some invincibility frames. And with the help of our triple herb combo, we get to tank additional hits before we are forced to heal, which buys us the required time to dish out enough damage to down him multiple times. As soon as he takes a break for the 3rd time, we call in the crane to finish him off. And thanks to the conveniently placed flash grenade here, we can keep him in place long enough to one-cycle him. With Birkin getting tossed down the Death Star's reactor shaft, we could finally rescue Sherry, but she wasn't looking so good. Having been forced to put her eyeball directly onto Chief Iron's asshole, she developed a severe case of pink eye. Annette couldn't bear the sight of her disgusting-looking daughter and told us to get Sherry out of her sight immediately. Ouch. Well, at least you're not an orphan, Sherry. But something much worse than Sherry's disgusting face was unfolding directly in front of us. No. This can't be happening. In a cruel twist of fate, it turned out all of our hard work skipping Sherry's section was for nothing, as we were once again forced into a running animation. And there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. The run was officially dead once again. Well, not quite. As luck would have it, there's another out-of-bounds skip we can perform down here, which lets us walk all the way to the cable car, letting us skip picking up Sherry. Just like with our previous skip, I decided that we had to complete everything up to the point when we could pick up Sherry. So that meant we would have to take on G2 once again. Unfortunately, this one is a lot more tricky to perform and requires us to carefully plan ahead by making sure to leave one of the service workers down here alive until after we've defeated G2. So a few hours later, we finally made it back and got tossed out of the arena by Birkin. Wait, yeah, that was the wrong attempt. This time around, we actually managed to win the fight and headed back over to the stairs, successfully performing the glitch, making it into the cable car. Somehow, Sherry managed to teleport onto the car with us, so we used our jacket to cover up that eyesore on her face, reaching Nest for the first time. With only 45 minutes left on the clock, this would really come down to the wire. But as is tradition in this challenge, we ran into our next run-ending obstacle. You see, as soon as we regained control of Claire, we were once again forced into the running animation. We were so close to the finish line, but it seemed like this was as far as we could get without running. However, if you think I was gonna give up now, you underestimated my absolutely psychotic refusal to call it quits. I had a hunch that there was a way, so we went back and performed the airwalk once again, this time before fighting G2. Yes! It fucking worked. Unfortunately, this had the side effect of killing Sherry, but that's a trade I was willing to make. I know skipping G2 is kinda lame, but not walking takes priority here. So on our next attempt, we made it back to the sewers and kneecapped our little helper here on the way down. However, as we returned from the alien hive, disaster struck. Did he just himself? What you just witnessed was all my hopes and dreams getting crushed. And while that brain aneurysm was readying itself to rupture, today should not be the day, because we had a backup plan. Upstairs next to the safe, one of the service workers was sleeping on the job, and fortunately we could use him to perform the glitch as well. The unfortunate part about all of this was that the lineup I found didn't really seem to work with this guy, which resulted in us hemorrhaging healing supplies, which didn't bode well for the finale, but it do be like that sometime. We finally managed to get the air war and made our way to the cable car. This time Sherry decided to T-pose to assert her dominance, while we made it inside of Nest. With Sherry magically teleporting into our arms during the cutscene, we should have cleared the final hurdle, but now we had to get her some treatment, which according to Annette had a 50-50 chance of turning her into a monster like William or curing her. And honestly, for meds produced in Raccoon City, those were surprisingly good odds. Our first order of business was upgrading our security clearance, which led us to the cafeteria, where we relieved the remaining scientists from life. Making our way to the nap room, where we found the level 2 security clearance as well as an upgrade for the spark shot. With our upgraded security clearance, we managed to construct a bridge, letting us access the east wing. To get our hands on Sherry's medicine, we had to reach the west wing, but for that we needed level 3 clearance. Unfortunately, the guy holding it was currently indisposed, so we had to get creative. The first thing that came to mind was plant genocide. The only problem was to synthesize our little cocktail, we needed access to the lab, for which we needed a code. So we headed out into the greenhouse to have a nice chat with the locals and located the code for the hatch. Returning to the control room, we opened up said hatch and made our way downstairs into the lounge, handing out brain surgery to the scientists committing paycheck fraud down here, letting us grab the trophy with the access code for the lab. That is by far the dumbest way to hide a code I've ever seen. We snuck past the lickers who decided to make this their new home, reaching the stairwell to return upstairs. Oh, you piece of shit. Upstairs we found this signal modulator with which we would be able to restore power to the lounge area very soon. But first we returned to the control room, setting these plant bastards on fire on the way there. With the lab now accessible, we synthesized our agent and headed back downstairs. Restored the power, letting us access the low temperature testing lab to cool our plant new. On our way back upstairs, we cooked up some more vegan kebabs, and once we finally reached the control room, we murdered all the plants inside the greenhouse to get access to the level 3 security upgrade. Unfortunately, these flesh-eating plant assholes didn't get the memo, so we introduced them to miniature-sized climate change. As we returned back to the main area, we had a choice to make. Time was running out, but with the signal modulator in our possession, we could get the final item pouch from within the nap room. A costly detour, considering our movement speed. However, one that we had to make. With our stock of healing supplies looking dire, we needed the additional inventory space to supplement our lack of healing with more firepower. So we went for it. With precious time lost, we walked as fast as we could over to the west wing, geared up for the final fight at the item box, and finally retrieved Sherry's medicine. But on our way back, William Birkin burst through the ceiling to stop us, which is exactly when Annette arrived and shot him. Well, that was anticlimactic, unveiling something nobody could have ever seen coming. He was her husband and Sherry's father. Well, I mean, no kink shaming, but Jesus Christ. Unfortunately, the G-Virus, besides the mutations, had the additional side effect of beaming manosphere horseshit directly into your brain, unleashing insatiable hatred towards any woman in your vicinity. And William wasn't done yet. So in an act of selflessness, we decided to fight off William, to give Annette one last chance to prove she wasn't a complete failure as a mother. G3 was definitely intimidating, but our learning from the G2 fight came in clutch here. Shooting him with an acid round as he winds up an attack temporarily stuns him. However, getting hit was inevitable. Thankfully though, our acid rounds bought us enough time to get some distance between us and G3. Once we finally took out his last eyeball, we zapped his massive eyeball collection on his chest with the spark shot, dealing insane damage. Repeating this for a second cycle brought us down to our final healing item. But eventually, he lifted the pillar, which let us get off multiple attacks with the spark shot. But we were out of acid rounds, and he wasn't dead yet. So we kept firing, unloading everything we had on him. And after our final heal was consumed, we had to pray that he would die before we did. Oh, thank God. That was way too close. We may have won, but it wasn't over just yet. And with all our healing items used up, we would have to deliver perfection in the finale. We returned to Sherry, who won the 50-50 and got cured. However, the stress of actually taking care of her child caused Annette to suffer a stroke and die, which actually turned out to be quite convenient, as she had the key to get out of here. So we abducted the freshly orphaned Sherry and made our way to the elevator. With the whole building falling apart, we had to get out of here. Fighting through the gauntlet to reach the exit fortunately turned out to be quite manageable, and we even managed to pick up a first aid spray and some additional herbs before we reached the train. As we powered the train back on, we received a transmission from Leon, who somehow also managed to make it down here. That bastard definitely cheated, but still, he was welcome to join our train ride out of here if he makes it in time. Now maybe I'm just too European to understand this, but do you guys always have a minigun stashed away in your office? Not that I'm complaining, because that thing will come in very handy in a second. William Birkin was back for another round, more disgusting than ever. The final obstacle between us and a potential S+ rank. We just had to deliver a good performance. But it wouldn't be a Chips video if I didn't choke at the most inopportune moments. We failed at stopping G4 from climbing up, and a mistimed flash caused us to take massive damage, costing us a precious heal. While we kept on firing, taking another hit, followed by failing to interrupt his second climb, doomed us. We tried, but with no more healing items available, it was just a matter of time. No. No, how am I so dog shit at this game? As always, I'm happy to disappoint, but we all know what comes next. So let's roll the montage. What? With G4 going down in clean fashion, we could board the train out of here to finally make it to our desired destination. There was just one more question to answer. Did we make it in time? We did. We cut it damn close, but that doesn't matter. We did it. So yes, you can in fact beat RE2 Remake without ever running, while getting an S+ rank on hardcore without dying. Wow, that was a mouthful. As always, thank you so much for watching. The full uncut run is in the description if you're interested. And a massive shout out to Let's Say TV, if I butchered your name, sorry, for his great tutorial on the airwalk trick. You saved me from literally going insane. And until next time, bye bye.